Like, we have the worst relationship with ourselves. We treat ourselves like crap. We break promises to ourselves all the time. We lie to ourselves. We mentally like beat ourselves up, like naturally. How crazy is that? But everyone does it. And so that's why I think it's so important to get these in place. Next thing is habits. So there are 3 types of habits. Being habits, having to do with who we are as a person. Relating habits, how we interact with others, which you'll see some crossover between that and relationships. And doing habits. So what is it that we do day in and day out? So first one we're going to talk about is being habits. There are 3 of these, because everything good comes in 3s, right? Physical, spiritual, and intellectual or mental. I just got interviewed for a podcast for a buddy of mine, and he asked me, Steve, which type of habits do you think is the hardest for people to do? And I hadn't been asked that question before. And so I told him, I said, I think it's the being habits. And that's why I start with this. Now, why are the being habits the most difficult to do? And I would say the most important. The reason is they have to do with ourselves. And who do we lie to the most? Is it other people or ourselves? If you haven't subscribed, click the subscribe button below so that you know every time I upload a new video so you can be encouraged and equipped to build your best life, right? It's ourselves. Like, isn't that crazy? Like, we have the worst relationship with ourselves. We treat ourselves like crap. We break promises to ourselves all the time. We lie to ourselves. We mentally like beat ourselves up, like naturally. How crazy is that? But everyone does it. And so that's why I think it's so important to get these in place. And quite frankly, the rest of them come pretty easy after that. So physical habits. First thing with physical habits is we all got to exercise. We all have to get our heart rates up. And for me, like, that was basketball. I told you about how I wanted to find something that I liked doing that had this byproduct. But the problem with exercise, how many of you guys have heard the phrase, you can't outwork the fork? Anyone heard that before? So it doesn't matter how much caloric expenditure you put out there, this right here can tear it apart in 30 seconds. And so getting both of those things in order. And so I ultimately got to the point where I had to hire a physical coach, a physical habits coach, where I have to report to him multiple times a day on how I'm expending calories and what calories I'm putting in. We use MyFitnessPal. I log everything in there, because if I'm not doing good here, I can't live my best life everywhere else. And again, I keep referring back to Reed, but one of the things he said to me that really stuck in my mind about 8 years ago, I think it was when he moved from Alaska down to Spokane, and he was like, I'm going to start doing triathlons and doing all this crazy stuff. I'm like, why? And he goes, Steve, I can't get up in front of people and lead them well if I'm obviously 50 pounds overweight. I can't do that. And I'm like, wow. So my ability to lead others into building their best life, which is my why, I have to live by example in every area. And so that's been a journey that I've been frankly struggling through and going ups and downs and have not arrived by any means on that, but something that some of you guys I'm sure are very, very good at. That's a strength. Use that. That's building a lot of capacity.